What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that.
News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
So this is a sad story. Divers have recovered the body of an 11-year-old girl from a Texas river just days after the girl went missing. And authorities say they're preparing to file a murder charge against a friend of her father who lived on the family's property. Oh, just horribly sad news. The sheriff saying, my heart aches with this news. So the family had reported her missing last Thursday after she failed to return after school. And after she was reported missing, investigators learned she never got on the bus to go to school that morning. And she was supposed to be taken by this friend of her father, and he's the one now facing charges. Police say there is substantial evidence in the case. Cell phone data and videos helped identify places to search. So authorities have said he was a friend of the girl's father, lived in a camper on the family's property. The girl lived with her father, grandparents, and other family members. So just a incredibly heartbreaking story. An American woman's facing up to 20 years in Russian jail because she gave $50 to an organization raising money for the Ukrainian army. She has now been charged. She is an American woman. She has dual citizenship, Russian and American citizenship. And so she gave $50 to this to help Ukraine. And now she becomes the latest American to be locked up in Russia. And there are concerns out there that Vladimir Putin is using these detained foreign nationals then as bargaining chips on the issue of Ukraine. So she was detained yesterday, accused by Russia of collecting funds used to purchase tactical medical items, equipment, means of destruction, and ammunition. Actually, she gave $50 to a New York-based nonprofit human rights organization. It's on behalf of Ukraine. Other stories trending this morning. Oh, did you see a judge had sentenced this is a woman who is a vlogger. She was a social media star on parenting. And she was sentenced up to 60 years in prison for child abuse yesterday. Her name is Ruby Frank, and she was a momfluencer and host of the YouTube show 8 Passengers. Well, she was ordered to serve 4 consecutive counts of 1 to 15 years. And that's the maximum sentence she could receive. And she was bawling afterward. I mean, she was bawling. 60 years likely in prison. And before receiving her sentence, she said, "For the past 4 years, I've chosen to follow counsel and guidance that has led me into a dark delusion. My distorted version of reality went largely unchecked. As I would isolate from anyone who challenged me," she said, "I was led to believe that the world was an evil place filled with cops who control, hospitals that injure, government agencies that brainwash, church leaders who lie and lust, husbands who refuse to protect, and children who need abuse." So then she bawled like a baby as she was sentenced by the court. I mean, she was weeping just uncontrollably. 60 years. And here's the thing, based on what she said, that when she said, I was led to believe that the world was an evil place, it is. It is. But here's where she goes sideways. She said, police who control, maybe a few do, but overall, hospitals that injure. She says church leaders who lie unless they do because they're human like everybody else. So what? And that's the reason then to just plunge into into the deep end? That just makes zero sense, I think, to many of us. Yeah, there's evil out there in the world, no question about it. So how we react to that, do you choose to rise above that? Do you choose to be someone that your children can be proud of and your grandchildren can be proud of? Or you start abusing your children? It's just nonsense. Also, 2 men were charged over the shooting at the Super Bowl parade that left 1 woman dead, 22 others hospitalized. So 2 men now both facing charges of second-degree murder, 2 counts of armed criminal action, unlawful use of a weapon. They're being held on $1 million bond. And one of the guns, I don't think it will surprise you to learn, was illegal. It was not a legal weapon. So, stolen, I think. It was a stolen weapon. Also, Vladimir Putin has given a gift to Kim Jong-un. He's the leader of North Korea. He gave him a Russian-made car for his personal use in a demonstration of their special personal relations, he said. So a report confirming the gift didn't say what kind of vehicle Putin gave to Kim Jong-un or how it was shipped, but observers say it violates a UN resolution that bans supplying luxury items to North Korea in an attempt to try to pressure North Korea to abandon its nuclear weapons. So Vladimir Putin violating a UN resolution, hardly a surprise, I've got to imagine, to most of us. Nikki Haley trending this morning. She dismissed the idea that she might suspend her presidential campaign. She gave a speech last night reiterating her intention to stay in the fight through Super Tuesday at the very least. And I think she went on to say, no, she's going to stay in it for as long as she can. And so will she get out? She said, that's about the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. If I get out of the race today, it will be the longest general election in history, she said. 10 days after South Carolina, another 20 states vote. I mean, this isn't Russia. We don't want someone to go in and just get 99% of the vote. How is that a comparison to Russia? Again, see, I mean, the words are coming out of her mouth, and I just go, what? Oh, man. This is why I said earlier, she has just shredded her credibility. She had no credibility with me moving forward at all. And it's because of can't somebody say, hey, Nikki, you know what? Let's try a different tactic. Why don't you stop talking? All right. The Beatles. If you're a fan of the Beatles, you're going to love this. Each of the Beatles will be getting a big screen biopic treatment Not just one film, but there will be 4 separate movies, each focusing on one of the Beatles. And all of them will be directed by Sam Mendes. So this will be for the first time, the Beatles are giving full life and music rights to a movie project. So Sony Pictures announced this deal on Monday, and they say, of course, some of this is promotion, but they say it may dwarf all music biopics that have come before it. So we'll see the stories of Paul McCartney, John Lennon, George Harrison, Ringo Starr spread out over 4 different films each. And you've got to believe Beatles fans will be absolutely loving that. Also, I told you about this yesterday. It's trending this morning. Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, one of the stars of Shark Tank, saying that he won't invest money in New York after the Manhattan judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million. And O'Leary issued a warning to real estate investors on the Fox Business Network, and he said, this award, I mean just leaving the whole Trump thing out of it, seeing what occurred here, and I'm no different than any other investor. I'm shocked at this, he said. There's no rationale for it. He said, I would never invest in New York now. And I'm not the only person saying that. So we went through that story at length yesterday. It's trending this morning. Now, as we talk about what's going on, there's another story that's out there this week. Did you see that Remington has been in New York State for a long time, more than 200 years that Remington has been in New York State. They're leaving. So they are going to Georgia after 200 years. So Remington is the nation's oldest gun manufacturer. And so they're leaving. Big story on that this morning at foxnews.com. Other stories trending this morning. Remember Neuralink and the brain chip that Neuralink was talking about? Well, we're getting an update on this. The first human patient implanted with the brain chip from Neuralink appears to have fully recovered, and he's able to control a computer mouse using his thoughts. So Musk wrote about this on X, and he said late on Monday, he said progress is good, and the patient seems to have made a full recovery with neural effects that we're aware of. Patient is able to move a mouse around the screen by just thinking. So this, if I'm not mistaken, this person is quadriplegic, I believe, and so lacks the ability. You're saying, why would I want a brain link? I can move a mouse myself. Yeah, you and I can. Some people can't. And this person is apparently one of those folks. So Musk is saying it appears to be working. Also, Julian Assange has been trending in the news. He's the founder of WikiLeaks. He's been fighting to avoid facing spying charges in the United States, and that may be coming to an end. Assange is facing what could be his final court hearing in London. Could be. Don't know yet. but he'll have his final court hearing in London next week. Assange is trying to stop his extradition to the United States. So the High Court, the British High Court, has scheduled 2 days of arguments over whether Assange can ask an appeals court to block his transfer. So he may be coming near the end of his fight. And that's a story I'll continue to follow. Also, the Alabama Supreme Court ruled last week that the state, Alabama, will consider frozen embryos as children. It's going to allow 3 couples to sue for wrongful death after a hospital allegedly destroyed their embryos. I think it was a hospital patient who destroyed the embryos. Other stories trending this morning. American Airlines is raising bag fees and changing how customers earn frequent flyer points. They announced this yesterday. So checking a bag on a domestic flight will rise from $30 now to $35 online, $40 if purchased at the airport. And the fee for a second check bag is also going up for those of you who are frequent flyers. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery.